When filming in snow or even cold weather, just like in rain, allow yourself extra time because everything will move slower. And if you think being wet is uncomfortable, being on a film shoot and being cold is by far the worst. To be safe, overdress and dress in layers. That way you can always remove clothing if you get too hot. It's also a good idea to have a few of these heat packs to put in your boots and gloves if you're filming in extremely cold temperatures. When it comes to our equipment, we have to be very careful. We can't simply use it in the same way that we would in more reasonable weather conditions, because there's extra elements we need to be aware of. Condensation occurs when warm air comes into contact with a cooler surface and it crosses what is called the dew point. Example, if you take a cold drink from the fridge and leave it sitting at room temperature, water droplets will form on the surface. If you wear glasses, you understand fog all too well, especially if you live somewhere that experiences cold winters. When moving from outside to inside, your glasses, which are now a cold surface, fog up almost immediately when the warm air hits them. Because dew points are always changing, I can't offer specific temperatures. And because this isn't a science course, a simple way to avoid this is to remember that our cameras and lenses are the same as a cold drink or a pair of glasses. It is the surface. And when moving to significantly warmer temperatures than what our camera is at, which is whatever the temperature of our current environment we're in, there's a risk of condensation or fog forming. This can be a cold exterior to a warm interior, or a cool air-conditioned room to a hot summer day outside. To avoid this problem, we need to let our gear slowly adjust to the new, warmer temperature. And the easy way to do this is to have the camera and lenses in a proper camera bag when making this transition. Then allow enough time for the equipment to adjust, and the amount of time that is needed will depend on how extreme the temperature change is. In doing this, the camera bag will stop the warm air from hitting the camera directly. In turn, it acts as the insulator and making the warming process more gradual. An extra precaution we can take is to seal the camera and lenses in a Ziploc bag until it warms up to room temperature. If you don't have a camera bag, then the Ziploc bag option is a must. And as mentioned earlier, using silica packs to soak up any humidity and moisture is always a good thing to have in your camera bag. If you want to change lenses, you'll have to go through this process if you go inside to make the change. My suggestion, have the lenses and any other necessary equipment outside with you, so it's all at the same or nearly the same temperature, and make the lens change outside. If it's snowing while doing this, treat it the same way as if it were raining and make sure to shelter the camera. And hold your breath. I know that sounds a bit weird, and I was surprised the first time I was told this as well, but it makes perfect sense. When changing lenses, you're exposing the internal components of the lens and the camera to the external elements. As you can see right now, my breath is very visible because of the cold weather, and you can see how far the moisture can travel. So that's why you want to be very careful, and more so hold your breath when doing this process to stop any of that moisture from getting inside your camera or inside the lens. A good example is right here with this filter. If you see when I breathe on it, it captures all of that moisture as it sticks to the surface. If you do make the mistake of taking your camera unprotected from cooler to warmer temperatures and condensation or fog forms on or inside the equipment, It doesn't mean your camera and your lenses are instantly ruined. But if this happens too often, eventually it can cause permanent damage. If your lens has fogged up, the best thing to do is simply wait for the fog to disappear. Wiping the fog away will leave streaks, and if the lens hasn't adjusted to the new temperature, then fog will continue to form. And never detach the lens if fog has already formed. Doing this will only expose the inside of the camera and the inside of the lens to that warmer air, allowing condensation to form on the inside of our equipment. If a lot of condensation has formed or found its way inside the camera or lens, then it's best to put it in an airtight bag with something that can absorb the moisture, such as silica packs, a towel, or uncooked rice. Some of you may have done that last one if you ever dropped your phone in water. The other thing you want to do is get as much air out of the bag as possible. I've heard people mention this term, which means letting the camera adjust to the cold temperatures, but this is not necessary. As we learned, condensation occurs when warm air meets cooler surfaces, not the other way around. But if you are filming in sub-zero temperatures for long periods, you should be mindful of your camera's limits. To find out this information for your specific camera and other equipment, check the owner's manual. And it could be worth investing in a winterproof case that will protect it from the cold and the snow. But at the very least, have a rain cover for when it is snowing. Batteries, on the other hand, hate cold temperatures more than any other piece of equipment. In cold temperatures, batteries run out of power faster than in normal temperatures. So I recommend having 3 batteries minimum. Or if you can, have 4, 5, or even 6. Or invest in larger batteries. And any batteries that are not being used should be kept inside or somewhere warm until they're needed. Having one tucked inside your jacket for a quick battery swap can also work, as long as you've dressed warmly. But what you should never do is tuck your camera inside your jacket when not filming, or to protect it from the falling snow. And this is a mistake I made quite often when I was new to videography. Doing this is the exact same as moving your camera from cold to warm without taking the proper steps, and can once again cause condensation to form. If you do this, you'll also notice that your lens will fog up, causing you to have to wait before you can film again. When filming while it's snowing, treat it the same as if it's raining. Use a lens hood or a matte box to stop snow from landing on the lens. If snow does hit the lens, use the same lens cleaning procedure as if it were rain. We must also be aware that the snow can affect our lighting. If there's snow on the ground, this can act as a big light reflector. And if it's sunny, you'll encounter issues with overexposure. So this is another scenario when ND filters and polarizers can save the day.